So, Johnny, if I have £10 million to spend, I want a week's holiday, and I want you to plan everything for me. Tell me what you'd do.
What does a man who plans space flights, charters 100-metre super yachts, and builds experiences for billionaires actually know about success? This week on the Multipliers Club, we sat down with Jonny Dodge in Dubai, the entrepreneur shaping the world of ultra wealth. He sent clients to space with Blue Origin, organised Antarctic expeditions, run Mayfair nightclubs, and built a network that includes some of the most influential people on Earth. Jonny has spent time around leaders like Richard Branson and Elon Musk, giving him a rare insight into how the ultra-rich think, what they value, and what truly drives them.
A lot of these things that have been my own passion. I've got shipwrecked on desert islands and survived after 10 days with no food or water, and like all these types of things are just so exciting, and to be able to offer that to other people and create these experiences has been a really powerful journey for me.
But this episode isn't about yachts or jets. It's about access, confidence, storytelling, and the mindset required to operate at the very top.
Going out, nightlife there, connecting with people, and I just enjoyed networking. And then I kind of just started to realize, where am I adding value? What am I doing? And to meet the right people, you had to be adding value to them.
The lessons Jonny has learned directly from people who have seen and done everything, how he built his network from nothing, why the luxury world is changing fast, and shares a cheat code to develop high-level relationships. This is one of the most fascinating conversations we've filmed. Welcome to the Multipliers Club. This is Jonny Dodge.
So, Johnny, thank you very much for joining us today. We've got a bit of a different opening question before we dive into your story and everything you do. The question is, if I have £10 million to spend, I want a week's holiday, and I want you to plan everything for me. Tell me what you'd do.
Look, you've got a lot of options, to be fair, especially with that budget. Look, you could take a trip up to space. That would be cool. That'd be a great way to start your weekend.
Oh, really?
Then probably fly you over to South Africa. Then you pop down to Antarctica. If you're in the winter time, you can do a day down in Antarctica.
Wow.
So then come back, hop you over a private jet to the Caribbean, and take you around there. So around Christmas time, you'd head to St. Bart's.
Billionaires playground.
Yeah, get a 100-meter yacht.
All that in a week.
So, okay, maybe we gave ourselves a couple of weeks there then. But that's fine.
So we want it to be like wild, like a wild week.
What's wild for you?
Like Wolf of Wall Street type of style.
Look, I think boats is always the great place to do it. It gives you a lot of privacy, gives you a lot of flexibility. So that platform to kind of do anything you want is incredible. And yeah, there's boats around kind of €3 million, $3 million a week. But what you've got to do with that price is generally add local taxes and your APA, your advanced provisioning allowance, all your extras. That's going to be another 30% on top of that. So you're probably at about 4.5 million.
What kind of boat does a 3.5 million a week budget give you?
You're looking at something 100 meters plus. The nuance with boats are generally you're still only about 12 guests. There's a few that will take a few more than that. And yeah, then you've got everything from potentially submarines and like your own helicopters on the back. So that really
See paddle as well, yeah. You got paddle, jibs.
There's definitely some like paddle courts on the helipads or basketball courts as well to add on as some fun extras.
I like it. It's interesting.
It's some pretty cool.
But you said space, yeah. Space. How does that work?
Yeah, that wasn't the answer I was expecting.
That
me off. I was waiting for like private jet here. And you're like, space? All right.
I mean, that's obviously one of the most exciting things you can do. I was going to say on this planet, but off of this planet. Yeah. And I think that we set up space experiences 6 years ago now, and founded it with the idea of kind of starting that progression to take people to space and astronaut training. We sent our first clients to space 3 years ago with Blue Origin. And yeah, I mean, look, that's commercial space travel has been happening for over 20 years, but it's an incredible experience. So we try and take people through that training process where you go weightless. So for about $10,000, you can go and do a trip in the US going a 0G experience where you go on an aircraft that creates this parabola curve. And you go over thousands of feet as you drop through the sky, and you get weightlessness for a period of up to about 30 seconds or so. And you experience that through kind of a series of these parabolas in the aircraft.
And then how much is it to actually go to space, or where you're sending clients?
You're looking nowadays for the easiest access. You're at about a couple of $1 million to get that experience.
And how frequently are people doing this? I wasn't aware that it's a common.
Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of people don't realize that it's available, that it can happen now. I mean, our clients that we first I sent up there, that turnaround was around about 6 weeks from them saying yes to it actually happening.
Really?
So really is things are viable right now, and I think people don't realize that.
How long are they going up for? Sorry, I was just like, I don't know how it actually works. How does it actually work? So like, what, you're up there for how long do you go up for? Like,
Galactic isn't flying at the moment. They had a series of that, then now they're changing to a new rocket, new aircraft there, or spacecraft. And but Blue Origin is the real main access to space right now for regular flights, and that's depending on what's going on with their programs, is happening every couple of months. That is a flight that will take you up and down, but you're up and down within 15 minutes.
Oh wow,
so.
15 minutes.
2 to 3 million quid for 15 minutes of space.
Yeah.
No, you don't get 15 minutes of space. That's the amount of time for your flight.
Oh wow.
Space time, look about 6 minutes or so on that flight. But similar with most of the operators at the moment, unless you go with SpaceX. So Axiom have access to the Space X and going up with them in their Falcon rocket.
Have you been?
Not to space yet.
Not yet.
I'm signed up to go with Galactic, but I've done my astronaut training, so I've done the weightless experience, which again is life-changing in its own right, for sure. But to go up and you can spend up to 65 million, spend a week at the space station. So really does depend on your budget.
You must be always looking for how to impress these people that have probably done everything, right? So
I mean, this is what I'm so passionate about, and we're lucky about our clientele, and our motto as our group of companies and our mindset is around the fact that we have the ability to influence and inspire the most influential and powerful people on earth. And those people come to us for those experiences. So if we can do that through the tools we have of creating unique experiences for them, whether it's the aircraft or yachts they buy from us, the trips we plan for them, it's really I'm humbled that we have the ability to be able to do that for people. So, and I'm inspired every day to create the craziest experience there are on and off planet Earth.
I can only imagine. So right now you're working with extremely affluent, high-end individuals, but how did you kind of get into doing what you do? Like, where did it start for you?
You got me.
Yeah.
It started, from a young age, my family were always entrepreneurs, and I was always excited by experiences. And one of my first jobs was organizing the Gumball Rally.
oh yes.
And at the time before that, I was organizing celebrity parties in London and just had access to this world. And one of our first trips that I ended up doing was a trip we flew down to Antarctica, and getting in the interior of Antarctica and doing one of the first tourist trips there was completely inspiring. I love cars and all those things and boys' toys at the time, but to start traveling, and when I landed there on the ice, it really was like landing on another planet. It is otherworldly, Antarctica.
What do you see there?
That's the thing. It's just such an incredible place, because really nothing exists in that interior. So you don't have the wildlife, you don't have the flora and fauna. You can't tell. Like I was there with our expedition guide, and I was like, should we go up to that mountain for lunch? He's like, yeah, lunch in 4 days time. Like you can't see you've got no grasp of scale there.
Yeah.
It's completely bizarre. And it feels otherworldly. You've got to kind of dress up in all your gear, but you've got to manage, you can't sweat. If you sweat, it freezes, then you get hypothermia. You've got to put your glasses on to make sure you don't go snow blind. It's daylight 24 hours a day. It really is like another world. So that was an incredible experience to go through, and it inspired me to then go on and do a lot of these things that have been my own passion. I've got shipwrecked on desert islands, and survived after 10 days with no food or water. And like all these types of things are just so exciting. And to be able to offer that to other people and create these experiences has been a really powerful journey for me.
Jake here, I'm the one missing from the podcast. Annoyingly, I didn't manage to get out to Dubai, so I'm listening just like you are. Before we dive back in, If you're enjoying it so far, just hit the subscribe button. It genuinely helps support the podcast and it allows us to bring on even more amazing guests. Thank you for being here. Let's get back into it.
How did you go about building a network to get to kind of where you are today? Because I could imagine when you start working with millionaires, billionaires, you get in inner circles and you get referrals. But to start with, I could imagine that must have been quite challenging to break into those circles.
Yeah, I think I was. It was from my days at uni, and I took my master's degree in London, and that is a great platform to meet people. It's one of the greatest cities in the world, and I think that going out, nightlife there, connecting with people, and I just enjoyed networking. And then I kind of just started to realize, where am I adding value? What am I doing? And to meet the right people, you had to be adding value to them. So if I was able to offer something, whether that was an insight into something, access to something, or connecting people, I just started slowly doing that. And I was never afraid to be in high profile rooms. And I think that gave me a platform. I think I could talk about amazing trips like going to Antarctica. I was interesting to anyone, whether you were a billionaire or not. I could offer value and insights into my experiences. And from that, I just grew my confidence to build and connect more people. I didn't need to know about specific industries or learn about things, or had all my degrees at uni. It was really about, how can I connect people and add value to them?
And so what was the first business that you launched? I know you can tell us, what businesses have you got? You've got a whole group, right?
Yes, no. It's certainly grown over the years. I mean, yeah, the first one was, I set up running events. I was around this world of nightlife. I was lucky enough in kind of an internship I was doing to sponsor all these celebrity parties in London, and became this guy that was then in the newspaper as the guy you most wanted at your party. I kind of got to know all the celebrity party organizers, all the press, and then in fact organized this boat rally when we first kicked off, and managed to get us on the 6 o'clock news with the presenter flying underneath Tower Bridge at 70 miles an hour on this speedboat, and hosted this event outside of the Royal Albert Hall, and had speedboats on the road. And this was just I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I just had all the right connections. So I kind of pulled all that together as a first event, and it grew from there. Then I went on to organizing the Gumball, and that created all these connections, and then went on to running and then owning nightclubs. And that was again another amazing platform, of course, to network and connect people.
In
and I
London?
realized, yes, I had a nightclub called Aura on St James's Street, just by the Ritz Hotel.
Yeah.
And so to have a Mayfair nightclub back then was just such a great platform to again meet people. I realized that was the opportunity to connect. And
What year was this when you had that club?
2010, I think.
Okay, that's probably back when there were still a lot less people were leaving London back then, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, look, that was the height of nightlife. That was the height of everything back then. It really was. We had Madonna coming down to our nightclub. We had parties going on every week, celebrities. And if you're a nightclub owner, that platform of whether you're a billionaire or a celebrity, you still want to meet the owner of the club. So it just gave me all those opportunities.
Did you find yourself partying a lot, or did you keep it strict?
No, I was very much focused on work, and I think that if I'd gone down that route, that would have been a demise of me. And I think that
You'd have been Wayne Lineker in a few years.
I think that so I wasn't, and I'd always hold that confidence to today. I can go out and host people on events, and I don't get carried away with the situation. I think it's so important to be able to hold yourself and host people in the right way.
It's great you have that discipline. Many people don't. I mean, it's so easy to fall into vices, right? Especially if you're around celebrities that are drinking and having a good time. I could imagine 3 or 4 times a night. I know you mentioned in the early days, going back to uni, you were always very good at connecting people.
Yeah.
And you were never afraid to be in high profile rooms. Do you feel like you were kind of born with that confidence and those people skills, or did you cultivate them?
I don't think you can be born with that. I think that you have to have a deep inner confidence. And I think that's really important. And I say to everyone, it's you can be the best in the world at something, no matter how small that niche is. You are the best in the world at this particular thing. And really hone that niche out and be I know I do this better than anyone else. They might be very, very tiny and very, very narrow, but it should give you that ultimate confidence that you can then present to someone else. And be able to walk into a room with utter confidence and be able to add value. So for me, that's what I had from a very early age, I think. And I had great stories to tell. And I knew that if I could be a great storyteller in that room, the experiences that I was lucky enough to go through. And then that motivated me to go on more trips and travel more and find such value in that. So I would spend my time and my money on these types of trips, going to the 7 wonders of the world, going to the 7 continents, going and finding cannibal tribes in Papua, or trekking Antarctica or the Amazon jungle. These things were things that inspired me, and then stories that I could tell others.
Yeah, that's
interesting to just get people, I guess, to want to speak to you, right? Like, what would your advice be to people that are just starting? A lot of entrepreneurs, they hear networking almost, I guess, sometimes feel like it's a bit of a buzzword, or a lot of people maybe go and join quite regimented networking groups. But in reality, for us, that hardcore networking is not necessarily always the best route to meet and build connections. What would your advice be to people just getting started, trying to build a network when they're walking into a room? How would they approach these conversations to get long-lasting relationships?
Okay, I think the most important thing is about how you add value. And a lot of the companies I've set up or businesses that I've come into, or projects, have come not through looking at where the deal is first, how I can make the money out of the deal. It's come from, let's see how I can help this person, connect them. If they're looking to do something an area I'm interested to get into, let's see if I can connect them with someone I know. Let's see. And if I go into that planning not to make money, then that takes all the pressure out of the situation. All of a sudden, I've met someone, I want to connect them with someone else. They're excited for that connection. I'm adding value to them, and they're going to be able to do it without feeling this pressure. I'm not trying to work out how I'm going to make something out of that deal. That first deal that you put through and connect someone with, you've done it with no pressure. The other person's been excited to work with you because there's no caveats to that. And that is such a great catalyst to be able to build a network within an industry, build a new area that you want to work in. So don't start trying to find where you can make the money from on your first deal, because it undoubtedly won't work, and it will show to the client or to your friend or the person you're trying to create that relationship with that you're trying to make something out of the deal. Don't start like that. Start by trying to make the connection. Then you've proven that you can do it. Then look at how you monetize it. And then you've got the confidence because you know you've got the track record. You can present something you've done. So just start by doing it that way. And that's been such a great tool for me. It's almost a cheat code of how to kind of add value and get into an industry.
I think that's some of the best advice. I think that's some of the best advice we've ever had on the podcast. So what you're saying is, when networking, take the mindset out of you want anything from it. Try and just help that person. And then in return, when you help that person, they're going to probably feel like they might want to help you back. I could only imagine, right?
Of course, but ultimately you've created now a platform for yourself where you know that you can deliver on something. So then you don't even necessarily, of course, it's not about expecting something from that person in return. It's you've now done something for yourself. You've now created the confidence. I can do this. I can deliver this. Now I can go out and charge for this. So just start by doing that. Start by connecting. It costs you nothing to connect one person to another. And that's how great deals and opportunities come about, and how people start to find value in you.
I think so many people have the wrong mindset with networking. So they'll go to a networking event thinking, what can I get? What can I get? Who can I meet? Whose numbers can I get? And I think for more seasoned people in business, people can kind of sense that and they can smell it. And I can imagine it probably puts people off quite heavily. Have you been on the other side of that, where people try and connect themselves with you and you feel like they're just trying to kind of extract?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I do a good job of that. That doesn't come to me too much because of the way I present myself or the situations I find myself in. It's making sure you're in the right rooms. But of course, yeah, it's very obvious when that comes about. And I think that if you walk into a room going, let me see how many people in this room I can connect with someone that's going to add value to them. That would be a great way of being I'm going to walk into this room, I'm going to find 4 people that I'm going to connect with someone else that's going to help them. And you will be astounded at the results that come from that.
Are you noticing in terms of your client base, you're getting now more younger generation but also they have untold amounts of money as well, just because Gen Z's they're just born on technology, right? So
I mean, the wealth has completely changed over the last few years. And this is very rapid change. So you look at the last 2-3 years and you see how much the demographic has reduced. In many industries, you're dropping the average age of someone chartering, buying, spending money by 10 years. So it's really thrown everything out. And a lot of the legacy brands in these luxury industries have struggled to keep up to date with that transition of wealth going to this younger age group, understanding what these customers are. And it does mean that they're less experienced when they're purchasing, whether it's a yacht, a jet, these types of things. They might not have done it as much. So they're treated in the wrong way by these legacy brands. You've got brands in the super yacht industry, that companies that have been around for a couple of 100 years. It's very hard for them to move and evolve with this changing industry. And we're lucky enough to have been set up with that in mind. We were built with this younger customer at the forefront, and we're happy to educate them and support them. When you've got people buying their first yacht, an 85-meter yacht, $100 million yacht as their first purchase, they're not going to know everything. And they're going to ask silly questions that maybe a legacy business wouldn't be either trust that was a serious buyer, or wouldn't treat them in the way that they feel comfortable. We understand that our customers are the first times coming into this industry, the first time chartering, first time doing these things. They're going to ask lots of questions, and they're going to
silly question when buying a yacht.
Yeah.
What is a silly question when buying a yacht?
There's no silly questions. There's so much to learn.
Yeah, you don't know.
You don't know how much it costs to operate. Like, generally, you're looking at 10% of the boat's value every year just to operate that vessel. People might not understand or appreciate those costs. That's really quite a big question for people. Like, what type of boat they want. The fact that boats generally can only take 12 guests on board. That's a bizarre thing to understand, whether you get a 30-meter boat or a 100-meter boat. It's due to a safety and construction process. So effectively, if you start going over 12 people, you then turn into what is a passenger vessel, and then you need to, which doesn't give you any effectively upwards, like you're similar spec to a cruise ship at that point. You have to have lifeboats on the outside of the vessel. You have to have muster stations, training processes. You have to build the vessel from scratch to have all these watertight doors in different places. So the exponential cost of creating a vessel that take more than 12 guests is enormous. And so for international cruising regulations, of course, places like Dubai, where they can be flagged and managed in Dubai, is a different ruling. But if you want a boat that can travel internationally, that is one of the nuances of that.
So is that why you need the helipad, so you can fly people on and off?
Yeah.
So what would you say is the average age now of people, whether it's chartering or buying a yacht and a jet? What would you say is the average age you're seeing?
Oh, I mean, the average age of a large jet owner used to be someone in their late 70s, 80s.
Really?
So that's certainly come down. Of course, it's not the average age. We're not looking at our customers in their 20s and 30s, which are buying.
Yeah.
They're certainly not the average. It's just brought the mean down,
Got
sure.
you.
But that mean has probably dropped by about 10 years overall. So you're still looking at younger customers, but it does mean for us, when you're looking at a lot of crypto clients in our network, a lot of tech founders, they're the ones that are coming through and surprising people. And one of our clients is famous for walking into a supercar dealership here and trying to buy a Bugatti and getting told he can't touch the car and getting kicked out the showroom, and then buying the Bugatti in the showroom next door. So it's a great viral video if you haven't seen it. And that's a customer of ours that charters for us all the time, both aircraft and yachts. And he's just hit 30, I think. So yeah, it's really that age group has totally changed. But it also means the type of boats we're building and the type of charters we're doing have changed. People want to go to different destinations. Often for me, as being brought up around it, like living in Saint-Tropez every summer for me was, and certainly an old money generation, but you're taking customers that have never been to the south of France, never experienced these things, don't understand Capri and these types of places, which for our existing long-term customers is a very well-known thing. But for new generation, where do I take a yacht? What do I do with it in the summer? So many of these questions arrive, but they also want to what we've seen is a huge travel trend change.
Yeah.
And with our clientele, these younger clients that you talk about, is we get to see across our jet business, our travel company, our yacht business, that people now travel with larger groups of people. There's less family trips now. There's more of a trend towards group and friend trips. So that changes the dynamic of what these yachts have to look like. The ownership structures, usually with families. Now you might see yachts with 2 master cabins because business partners own a yacht together, or these types of things. And it then means that people are now living seasonally as well. That changes all the dynamics again. And what we previously kind of saw as a digital nomad on his laptop is now what we've dubbed as the luxury nomad, someone that genuinely can afford these, is a CEO, does have a large number of staff and offices around the world, but has the ability to work remotely. They now travel with groups of their employees, their friends, going to destinations, people living on yachts for months and months at a time, people living in different destinations. So that's opened up a completely different world for us. And we've now even launched a real estate business based on that model. So it's the whole demographic has completely changed in the spend in luxury and lifestyle.
How do you... Sorry,
so that's a very long answer.
No, it's good. Let me just follow up with that with something you said. How do a lot of the, I guess, old money clientele and demographic find the new money? Are they quite open to it?
Funnily enough, that was exactly what I was asking. Can I just add to that question, right? So I see a lot of stuff on social media with like old money versus new money. And there was a really like viral sketch. There was a new money guy in the same luxury restaurant as an old money guy. The old money guy had a very classic Patek on. The new money guy, big diamond AP, got a diamond chain. And the old money guy started going crazy at the new money guy because he was using his chopsticks wrong and he wasn't appreciating the sushi. Apparently you have to smell it or something. Like, that's old money, right? So like, do old money kind of hate on new money? Do you see that? Like, what's the kind of relationship there?
I mean, well, there's 2 avenues to that. I mean, old and new money as a definition is generational wealth and someone being brought up in that environment and having more knowledge, understanding and etiquette from it, versus new money. And of course that does have different connotations, the way people would like to show wealth. And Dubai is of course famous for the new money style, but it doesn't mean that someone who's recently come into money and through crypto and other ways can't be elegant about the way they do things. And there's just a different approach, of course. So it doesn't always stereotype that if you've made money recently, you're so flashy with it. And often we find we've got very wealthy clients and some of the top 10 richest people on earth as clients that are very private with things, aren't show-offy, go around with their Apple Watch on. But I mean, at that level of wealth, you really don't need to be showy. But yes, there is that stereotype. And of course, it's going to create a different dynamics of people. People are going to be offended. People are going to find it uncouth. So there's a balance and you've got to learn that. And I think that, yeah, if you're going to different destinations, you see a mix of both, whether that's Marbella or Ibiza. Historically, somewhere like Saint-Tropez has tended to be more old money. Somewhere like Marbella is more new, but Ibiza has the mix of the two. You have the legacy history of Ibiza and the older generations and going over to Formentera versus the new money, and there is a clash of that for sure, but each has their own space and time for that. And I think that you've got different brands that cater for that, whether you want your Mansouri and your diamond watch. And sorry, I should, you can have a mix of both. It's fine.
Yeah.
Has your definition of wealth changed over the years, would you say, from seeing more and more?
Yeah, that's a good question.
But a definition of wealth doesn't relate to money. A definition of wealth is around the abundance of things around you that make you happy. So you want to be wealthy in friends, wealthy in happiness, and how you find that and how you see that. And it's the wealthiest or richest people in the world can be very unhappy. So, and I see that a lot. And through my own journey, some of my wealthiest or richest times have not been my happiest. So I think it's so important how we look at wealth and what wealth means to us, and a wealth of friendships and abundance of the positive things that we need around us. I spend far more time going and studying about happiness, going to places like Bhutan in the Himalayas, a country, if you haven't heard of it, that govern their entire country based on the happiness of their people. That is far more fascinating. That gives you so much more fulfillment and inner wealth than you can ever imagine. Getting caught up in this world of wealth being about money is so challenging and so upsetting for many people. And you'll never get to the end goal of that. And I think it's so important to enjoy this journey. And the more money you make, the more you realize you don't need it. And of course, that's easy to say when you have it. But the reality of this is, try desperately to find your wealth outside of money. And once you've conquered that, you'll know you have huge success in it.
Very quick break from the podcast. It's Luke here from the Multipliers Club. If you're building a business or personal brand and want help with your content, paid ads, funnels, or anything AI, message us on Instagram at Harvey_Warrington_media. We've been helping brands, businesses, and entrepreneurs grow for over 6 years now. So DM us the letters TMC. We'll book you in for a completely free strategy session to see how we can help. You can also DM us on the Multipliers Club. Can you tell? That's a very wholesome answer, by the way. Yeah, that was good. Can you tell when someone's, I don't know, when you're organising a trip for someone or whatever, if they're doing it for themselves or doing it because they want to be seen to be doing it?
Yeah, of course. And I think but there's always going to be a balance of both. People love to show off. And if you want your berth right behind Sineki and Saint-Tropez because that's the number one berth and everyone knows you're going to be there, of course. But it's fun to show off and have a party and invite people and do those things sometimes. And people shouldn't be shamed for that. Like, that is great experiences to have that abundance and be able to be playful with it and do crazy things and ask for wild requests, have your own private fireworks displays on the beach and helicopter everyone in. The fun of that. And people want to show that on social media. We have a lot of clients that are influencers now. So they want to video all of the content they create and show that to other people, but also show what they've gone through to get there and their stories and how they've manifested that. And I think that's such an important part of that journey.
People should, depends on who you are, but like us three, for example, we would never look at it necessarily as showing off and like say we find it inspiring, like we're like, how can we do that? It's like, when you see someone who's maybe on that yacht, you think, I wonder what they did to get there. Like, what struggles did they go through to actually get to that position? Like, how can we do that? Whereas some people will just hate, right? Because they're like, I'm never going to be on that boat.
And I think that's the important thing, is trying to educate, have conversations like this about changing mindset. And it's not about being jealous of people who've achieved things. It's trying to understand, what does that journey look like? And that's where I'm spending my time, is how do you find that wealth now? How do you find that happiness? And I've been working on a TED talk about happiness, actually.
Right.
There's a real deep-rooted value of mine, is how do I find out more about being happier every day? And it's those little steps. It's like, what was my journey this morning? How did I wake up? And
Sam's favorite book, what is it? The one you've read a couple.
It's actually called Being Happy. Have you heard of it?
I haven't, but it sounds
It's
like
only 100 pages long.
Yeah.
And whenever I need a little pick me up, I read it. I think I've read it about 3 times now.
Yeah.
It's a great book. Whilst we are on happiness, right? Many people say money doesn't buy happiness. And then many people say whoever says money doesn't buy happiness is usually rich. And it's a put off so poor people feel better, right?
Yeah.
What's your take on that specifically when you look at the clientele you work with? Do you see people that are genuinely happy? Do you see some people that are just trying to mask depression with luxury?
With money becomes bigger problems. Where's the definition of where happiness isn't affected? When your basic needs are covered. So if you have a basic level of income in a first world society, if your family brings home $30,000 a year, then you can feed yourself, you can have shelter, you can do those things. So that's where your basic needs are covered. If your basic needs are covered, then happiness is all relative. And you've got to remember this relativity. That's so fundamental. It's a timeline. Like, you can be very excited the day that you do a new deal and are able to splurge on something or spend something, but it becomes very relative very quickly. So this importance of change is fundamental. So not necessarily change in how much you're making each time, but the way you're acting and the things that you're doing. I encourage people to walk a different way to work every day. That creates change. So those should be the things that people aspire to, and not that need for additional funds. It's a scientific statement. Your basic needs are covered. That won't then affect your happiness. Of course, it gives you access to things and things that people desire, but and people feel more confident with it. Money worries do create problems, of course, but you have those money worries at any level of wealth because you start to spend to your income and spend above it. So there is no point that easily defines that. It's so important to have your own personal goals set out and be confident in the way you're living your own life, and make sure that you manage happiness and wellness as part of that, rather than looking for your next financial goal. Because for God's sake, enjoy the journey, because there is no end goal. You're not where are you going to, and what's going to happen when you get there?
So they say like the richest place is in the grave, or what do you call it, graveyard, right? Where
exactly. I think that everyone is living a life they dreamed of years ago. So be grateful for that and be happy at that. Try and have as much reflection as possible. I think it's so important. Constantly reflect, be grateful. Every time you do a new experience, be grateful for that experience and be humbled by it.
You mentioned change earlier. So one question I wanted to ask is what habits you've had over the years that you think have really helped you become a successful entrepreneur?
As an entrepreneur, that's different to what's made me happy. But as an entrepreneur, the habits that have really added value to me, I think trying to habitually create more connections, meet new people. I view my value in my black book, and I get excited. I mean, personally, I'm an extrovert. I'm excited to meet people. I'm excited to hear their story, listen to people. So I make a habit of listening to others when they talk to me. I understand their story. That's those tools to be able to take that forward. But also from an operational point of view, it's the habit of never accepting no as the answer. So many times I've been told no, especially in businesses where I'm trying to push the boundaries. Everything in our businesses is about creating these money can't buy unique experiences. So every time we request something of a supplier, the answer is always no, because we're doing something they haven't done before. We then have to break that down and understand that nothing's impossible. And when that realization comes that genuinely nothing's impossible, it opens up this whole new playing field you didn't know existed. And every time I've challenged someone and gone, it's impossible, I'm like, no, it might take an enormous amount of resources, an enormous amount of time, but it's definitely possible. And it might be a ridiculous task, but I know it's possible. And being able to break that down and be confident that that's achievable. So having that inner confidence in yourself, having that routine of connecting with people and knowing that nothing's impossible sets you this blueprint for life of a cheat code of making everything easy.
Have you heard about like what Disney do? I don't see if I remember it properly, but they have like an dreams room or an ideas room, and everyone comes together and just comes up with the wildest things. Yeah, they come up with the wildest. Yeah. And then there's no limits. Yeah. And then they do that for like I don't know how long, whatever. And then the next stage, they'll go to the room and like, cool. Now, how do we make it possible? Like, how do
they get to like stage 3 before they can cross it off? So you can't shut down phase 1. Has to be any idea. Yeah, and the next phase is how could we do it? Let's just hypothetically, and then they decide whether no, that idea is not for now.
Yeah, it's good. It's a great way to think. That's what
how to do things. And I think that everyone said that like yeah, but sorry.
All good.
People have said that like these things, like what's possible, or like for me, when I was at university, like I studied product design. I didn't do anything I was doing now. I'd be like, well, where was the value in that? And it was brainstorming. That's what we were educated in, brainstorming, which is never knocking that idea. And what it does is it's a tool for just think so wildly big people think you're crazy. Like aim for the stars and hit the moon. That moon looks like failure. That's a great failure. And I think that, so coming up with a 10x vision of what your idea is so important. And I do that with my team as so many times, as going, right, this current project we're working on, what if it had to be 10 times bigger? What if rather than having 10 people attend, it had to be 100? What if rather than it making $1 million, it has to make $10 million? Everyone goes, well, we'd have to change everything. Like, great, go and change everything. And they come back, and then you can make something 1 or 2% better in a heartbeat because you've tried to make it 10x bigger. So that is the cheat code. That is the ability to be able to think so big. Just put all that down on paper, and by mistake, you'll just end up making it better because you can't not try and follow a vision to be 10x bigger and not make it 1% better.
What are a couple of things that you really thought you weren't going to pull off and you have?
Yeah, what's some of the closest to impossible that you've made possible?
Most things, I think. I think every time I've come up with a new project, and at the time, like my first project in Formula One was doing the Grand Prix ball, the gala dinner before the Silverstone race. And I'd been a guy just running nightclubs at the time, but I knew I could sell tables in nightclubs. I could probably sell that. I didn't have the money, but I thought, well, I can put the contract down to take the venue out, and then I'll be able to invite the people. Then I'll network. I managed to find the charity that supported Eddie Jordan. I knew he'd be a great host for the event. It was all these just connections and ability. And by the time I'd put down the deposit, I'd already sold some tables and made these things happen. I think that each time I've gone into a project, I think that it's been driven by the customer first. I've gone out and told the story that this is what I'm working on. And I always cast my vision maybe a year ahead, going, this is what I'm working on, not going, this is what I currently do, because people go, oh, well, that's great. Well, if you tell people what you're planning to do in the future, people will support you with that vision. So, oh, I'm working on this. They go, great, I've got some contacts for you. I've got some opportunities. So I've always cast my vision forward, and other people have then helped me on that vision and journey towards those impossible dreams. So, like, sending people to space isn't like,
Yeah, that one's so damn, to be honest with you. Get him, yeah.
having those connections and relationships to be able to do that has just been that abundance. I was lucky enough to meet Elon Musk and Richard Branson, and
That's good.
one of my closest friends founded Virgin Galactic with Richard, and just building those connections put me in a room where I could then have that conversation about, oh, how do I send someone to space? So,
And you're with people that don't think you're crazy, which is powerful.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's so fundamental. If you're in a room where that's just the norm,
Yeah.
like, and you see that from at Blue Origin. I arrive in West Texas, and the guy that picks me up from the airport driving the limo works for Blue Origin. His
Is
vision.
that Jeff Bezos' company?
It is,
Yeah.
yes. Like that guy driving the limo, he works for Blue Origin, and he realizes that we're going to Mars. He has such a broad vision that no other limo driver has, because he's in an environment where that's completely normal.
Yeah.
So just be in that right environment. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Get in those rooms with those people you want to be around.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so I guess just on more your client side, some things, I guess not close to impossible, but some of the requests you've had from clients that are spending the big money, you hear things, sometimes stories about completely changing, whether it's hotel rooms, yachts, or what's some of the wildest stories you've got that people have requested you to do for their trips?
I mean, I think I was with a friend of mine, and a lot of my clients end up being friends. I was with a friend of ours in St. Bart's. We were on a 70-meter super yacht, which is an incredible yacht, called Octo, actually. We sat on the back, and we saw this boat in the distance. And my friend was like, what is that? And I was like, oh, it's Flying Fox. It's the biggest boat in the world for charter. He's like, do you want to call them, see if they're free? And I'm like, but we were on charter. He's like, yeah, we'll get it as well. And so he's like, call them, find out. And called them. And that day we arranged the charter of the biggest super yacht charter on earth, and the client spent $25 million on that holiday.
Wow.
Decent. Just
25
spare change
million.
over there.
What are you doing on the yachts? Like, what's going down on the yachts? Where?
I mean, you can see it. I posted a lot of it on Instagram. So we had Jake and Logan Paul come join us.
Oh,
We
wow.
were jumping off it. Like me, my girlfriend was there doing rock, paper, scissors to see who would jump off the top of the boat. I mean, yeah, we're living life. We had 2 helipads, a 2-story spa. We were going out diving. You've got like everything you can imagine at your fingertips. Like nothing is too much to ask for. Setting up our own beach club on our own private island with DJs, like everything you can think of. Nothing's impossible.
What's some of the requests, if you can disclose requests? Is there certain requests where you say, no, we're drawing the line there. We're not going to entertain trying to make that happen. There must be lots of celebrities trying to push the boundaries.
Look, everything's possible. So we will always endeavour. I'm putting a gym on the plane. We chartered an Airbus A330 that had its own gym for the client.
That's so insane.
That's definitely insane.
Run us through the gym. Like,
Sorry?
what kind of equipment was in that gym?
I had like whatever those running things
Cross trainers.
cross trainer
Yeah.
Dobby had a running machine, had a weights machine. Yeah, the proper old gym. Like, but I mean, that's a big old plane. It's got cinema rooms on it. It's got bedrooms, lounges. Yes.
How much is that to charter or to make happen? With
That
the gym?
was about $1 million. Yeah.
Where did the flight go to and from?
UAE to Miami.
Quick pause while we tell you about one of our businesses. So my name is Jake and I run Dial a Flight Concierge. We look after high net worth individuals, people you may see on the TV, YouTube, football pitch, or someone you just might see in the boardroom. Essentially, we take care of everything travel related, securing the best rates and finding the best route for them to travel. We are a travel agency first and a concierge company second, available 24 hours around the clock and easy to get hold of on WhatsApp. If you're looking to go away or you have a corporate trip planned, please follow along on our socials and you'll see exactly how we can help you. At The Travel Entrepreneur, tagged somewhere around this video. Let's get back to the podcast.
Okay.
They wanted the gym that badly. That's unrated. They really didn't want to move that
Wanted the
routine.
biggest plane they could.
Okay,
The gym was a bonus, I think.
Does there come a point, I'm sure there does with your clients, where money simply just becomes like no real object, where they just have such an insane amount of wealth that they kind of lose the value of money? Like, what could you run through some of the requests that these guys are spending money on, which is just so insane to fathom?
Money, yeah. I mean, we have clients that have over $100 billion net worth. That's
Wow.
Money isn't relevant, and you can't spend it quick enough. We had clients that making 30-40 million profit a day cash.
Oh my God.
Like you can't spend that sort of money. So, but it is about value. Value is still important to people. Really important. If you don't feel you're getting value, it frustrates people. It annoys them endlessly. So those are some of the biggest challenges. You can't be in situations where people think that they're not getting the value out of something.
How do you create value in these situations then?
I think, well, there's the importance is around your balance of cost versus return. So it's so important that you're spending the right amount of money for what you're getting back. So that's in terms of a financial point of view. If people just don't think it's value for money, I don't want to pay $1 million for that. That's not worth it. That boat's not worth it. That DJ's not worth it. They're overcharging me. That is always where you're going to find pinch points with clients.
Does that come back on your head? So, you know what I mean? Because I guess you're
you can't be blasé about these things. Like, yes, of course, there's times when we've had to spend $20,000 flying Fuji water it for a client because that's all they would drink. But like, I think that it really depends on the situation and making sure that you're making the client happy, looking after them, and giving them that value back. It's important to remember the little details and look after them in the right way and never take it for granted, because they didn't. And often these clients, especially our new clients, didn't have that money then. Although what is so different, I guess, now is finding the fact that legacy generational wealth has come and held in very fixed assets, in property and real estate, things that can't be sold easily. A lot of our new customers might not be as wealthy, but they have far more liquid assets. It's far easier for them to be able to spend that money and to be able to access that. So I think that what you see is a younger generation that might not be as wealthy, but are far happier to spend.
It's easy to get out, so it's crypto or whatever.
Yeah.
Rather than
You cater to that quite a lot, don't you?
Yeah, crypto
Promote
clients
your-
are certainly not majority, but a very large chunk of what we look after. And we look at people, that top kind of echelons of those people. So if you look at the top 20 wealthiest people in crypto, a lot of them are our clients who manage their yachts, jets, etc.
What percentage of your clients would you say are old money versus new money? And also, to elaborate, with the old money clients, do they continue to put in work for life? Like, do they still build businesses, or do they just live off kind of family money?
I think, yeah, purely generational wealth that has come through is always going to be in a minority, due to definition. New wealth comes by far more people. So you're only going to have that as a 10% of your kind of business, where people really are old money wealth. And they certainly don't spend in the same ways at all. They look at different points of value. It's more important, certain brands to them, certain destinations. But they have a lot of expertise there. Oh no, I will speak to the harbour master in Monaco, or I will do that. Like, I want this particular boat. No, I don't fly on that aircraft. So there'll be a certain way of operating, and there's certainly not as ostentatious at all.
I feel like I have to ask you, because it's such an interesting story, right? Which I saw on your socials, the story about the diamond ring that was lost from a client. Could you share that story for the listeners?
There's a lot of stories that we have. Some I can't tell all the details on, but it's so fascinating when and a lot of the most interesting stories I wish I could share, but I think that there's so many different things that happen, like that experience there. And it gives you a bit of an insight behind the scenes of what goes on, the challenges we face, and the things that we have to do behind the scenes that people don't see. Like, yeah, people having to call out dive teams to find lost things at sea. The challenges behind the scenes, what a yacht crew go through, is unbelievable. And people don't appreciate what the things that they have to put up with. So they're working night and day. People aren't sleeping. You're getting requests for burgers at 3 a.m. in the morning. The chef's getting woken up on the boat and they've come back. Then the chef's expected to be up for 8 a.m. because another person in the group's up for breakfast. These people aren't sleeping. The challenges that they're going through are just unbelievable. And we're fighting through, no, I want the helicopter landed now. Like, and you're like, the winds we haven't got the hours with the pilot, the complications that go on in the background of all these different scenarios of problems. And what we probably don't show is, what we have to do behind the scenes, trying to find engineers to go out to boats to fix things. These types of problems are probably not quite as glamorous as the stories for face value, but it is an incredible task behind the scenes. And that's really where we earn our money, is to solve these problems for people.
What happened with that ring then? What was the actual story behind it?
A woman lost her wedding ring when she dived from the boat, and then had to go and find that wedding ring out and send divers down to go.
So you have to get divers in to come, and you found it in the sea.
They found
Where
it.
was that?
That was off of Capri.
Wow, that's crazy. So I want to ask, and I'm actually going to separate it into 3 categories. What do you see as the main different mindset shifts or traits from millionaires to early stage billionaires? Because I was thinking, I've been in a room with like 2 billionaires, but they was both worth maybe 1, 2 or 3 billion. And then you're talking about the next level of like 100 billion or late stage, what would it be? 8, 9 figure billionaire category. What's the different mindset shifts, beliefs, habits you see between those 3 categories?
I think there's not always a giant mindset shift. Sometimes, I've had business partners that are only worth $1 billion, but like they've achieved incredible things through their journeys. And when you're at such enormous scale, you're looking at how you're changing the planet. When we have conversations, when I go to Necker Island with Richard Branson, like we set out a mindset for the week that we're there, and that is, what are we doing to affect over 1 billion people's lives? That's where the baseline of conversation starts. So that's where you're at that upper echelon of conversation is. How are we going to affect over 1 billion people's lives? What are we doing to make the planet a better place? If you're solving the biggest challenges on Earth, then by default, your business is going to be worth billions or trillions of dollars. So you're looking at these giant grand challenges. Someone that's a millionaire still is maybe just looking at how they can solve their own financial issues. How do they make a bit of money for themselves? Then they don't have such a scaled, grander vision. And again, with these big grand challenges, they're not looking at money first, how we make money. If you're affecting that many people's lives, money will come. And it's not often their first focus. It's just, how can we make an impact? How can we change and create better life on planet Earth or beyond?
It's interesting you say that, yet so many people, or like, especially in the mainstream, try to position billionaires as evil, right? When you've just said there that often the billionaires, their first focus is actually nothing to do with them earning money. It's about making the world a better place. I guess around that side of things, with the billionaires are evil and this type of stuff, is there cases where you are in rooms or you hear things or you've seen things that would indicate that, I guess it's to do with a lot of control or power, or necessarily using their position for negative side of things?
I don't think people are actively looking for negative things. I think that some people may abuse power, for sure. But I think that people are, and they may be a sociopath, incredibly focused on a particular thing and not interested in upsetting people along the way, but achieving an incredible goal. With that great focus does become eccentricity and other character traits that can be enormously challenging. And trying to, they've got ADHD, they're like, they can become very aggressive when the things don't happen in the right way. So there's enormous challenges come with trying to make billions of dollars. But of course, the other things that come with that is that your most important goal in life and in your pyramid of needs is actually giving back. That's where you're going to find your most value in life. That's how you're going to create that ultimate happiness. That's why people want to have children. That's why people want to support their family and friends, by giving back. So that ultimate happiness for those billionaires is going to come from that. They've achieved all the things they can with their own life. They're going to find far more happiness now in giving back to others and creating value for others.
Such a good point. I heard a saying the other day and it really put things into perspective for me. There's that old saying, I'd rather be sad in a Lamborghini than sad in a Peugeot. But it's actually the opposite way round, because at least when you're sad in the Peugeot, you still have the hope that the Lambo will make it better.
Yeah.
And then when you get the Lambo, you're still sad.
Yeah.
Which is a really interesting perspective.
I want to know, so what's your vision yourself? I know you're very much now in the luxury end of things. You just spoke there about when you're speaking with Richard Branson on his island and talking about how to change 1 billion people's lives. What's your longer term vision? What's your goals? Are you trying to impact that many people? Are you trying to stay fairly niche on what you're doing now?
I think I've been lucky enough that now we've built a lot of our businesses to a certain stage. My focus very much now and into the future, we've put together a non-profit called the Global Committee. And that links up with our new real estate and community project, Global Base. But the Global Committee, which I hosted an event just a couple of weeks ago as a retreat. But these events that we've been hosting around the world is that opportunity to bring together these types of people as a an industry trend, or in fact, in every vertical, we've seen one of the most valuable areas going forward for consumers is community, something we're desperately losing everywhere else. So in each business vertical we have, creating community has been one of the most important things and one of my highest values. So from a business point of view, it's about creating community, and how that's going to affect all of the industries going forward and how important it is to people. But also from a giving back point of view, the global committee was put together. So we host events, we bring together these people, we have that discussion. How can we affect over 1 billion people's lives? How can we do that? And then we have our retreats as well, which is also about looking inwards and going, right, outside of money, what are we doing to make sure that we're happy as people? If we're happy and wealthy outside of money, then we can create more value back for others. So I love having these retreats groups, and I hope that we can grow the global committee into this concept where it can start to support lots of charities around the world, do bigger and greater things. And I love bringing those communities together, just having those discussions. So my goal is to grow and evolve that. And alongside that, we have Global Base. It's our first real estate project that we're doing in Bali. But our goal is to build those around the world. Now, as I said earlier, with the more nomadic communities, people are buying cars and boats before they're buying houses. And so creating properties to own, but also in a community where people can connect outside of that. So we've positioned our project there as invest $500,000 into joining the community. You just happen to get a free villa.
Yeah.
Of course, that's not the case. You buy the villa, but the story is so strong that people buy in just to be part of the community. People will value that more if we can add so much value back. So I guess it's what I've learned from a young age. Now I can try and build into a structured format of adding value back to others by building strong communities, whether that's both for networking and for giving back to society. And that's my focus.
Nice. That's good. It's powerful. It's powerful. I feel like I looked at the Bali thing. We've got properties in the UK. I want to get around the world as well. And it's a really cool concept, right? So I believe you manage everything. You do like Airbnb or similar short-term rental, but then you block it out for a few weeks or a period of time each year. So people, you own it, you're renting it out, but then also you're making sure to block out the time for people to come. Yeah,
our villa owners coming back and connecting. And I think that hosting those events together, like the global committee events on the space, but some villa owners will choose to live there for several months at a time. Like we see this as a trend. So our goal is to build them here, Thailand, Puerto Rico. We've been having many discussions about other destinations around the world as people will become more nomadic. What we've seen as a trend is people are no longer living in the countries they were born in. That's something that's only happened over the last few decades as a huge shift. So if a large percentage of people now don't live where they were born, it means that your current location might be temporary. You might live in a destination for 5, 6, 7, 8 years and then get bored of that and decide you want to move on. So the ability to have homes around the world, we have a rental yield of up to about 20% a year in Bali. So you can get returns whilst you have those assets, and give that flexibility to live around the world. So I think people, even in lower wealth brackets, will start to have homes around the world that they can live in.
I've got a question that I'd be really interested to hear your perspective from someone that sits in incredible rooms with people talking about, I guess, when you're sat on Richard Branson's island and people similar to this, or similar to himself, you're not just talking about what's going to happen next year, 2 years, 5 years, probably even 10 years. I'm guessing the timeline really starts to spread out. Where do you think the world's heading? Like in the future, we've got AI coming in, we've got crypto coming in. What's using some of the information, I guess, you've got from the inside as well with the conversations that are happening with these billionaires? Where do you see the world in the next 20 plus years?
I think people are massively underestimating the change that technology will have on us. We're now seeing robots being for sale online. There'll be first deliveries of AI robots is coming through now. Those steps in that evolution is then starting to change how the workforce works. So soon those simple tasks won't be done by humans. And then you come into this world of a universal basic income, of having to manage a population that are no longer working. But job roles will change, and but there's so many different aspects to that. So the fact that we'll now have a world full of robots supporting us, the fact that we'll now be an interplanetary species. So in 20 years' time, you're going to have robots everywhere supporting you. You're going to have AI where you can't tell the difference between real and human, answering phone calls, solving problems for you, supporting you. We're going to have humans living and colonizing other planets. This is going to be such a change. We're going to live in a lifetime that no one has ever experienced so much change. And it's so important, I think, to just try and be at the forefront of that. Be an early adopter. If I can recommend anything, be an early adopter. Download that beta test of the software. Try to make sure you're at the forefront. Advise your employees and team to be part of that. Let them play with that. Give them time to evolve in that. If you're not using AI within your business now, you're going to fail. So make sure you're at the forefront of these things. Start learning about it. Make mistakes now before it's too late.
Did you order a robot? Did you order one?
I did look online. I'm debating.
It's $200 deposit, right?
It's not even expensive. It's like $25,000 or
yeah,
something.
$20,000.
Talking about the Tesla robot.
No, it's not.
No,
Neo. It's called Neo.
It's a different brand.
Neo, yeah. It tidy your house and that.
Like, yeah, they tidy your house. Apparently, they can cook dinner.
Tesla the robots will be far more advanced than the Neo ones now, and a lot of those tasks are carried out with a human monitoring
system.
I wanted to ask you, just talking about mass adoption of AI and technology, and I believe Dubai in next year is going to have flying cars, flying taxis, and drones. What do you feel it's going to mean for day-to-day people working normal jobs, average jobs in the Western world? Like, do you think it's going to be a mass negative, or do you feel it could be a mass positive?
I mean, my perception of the future is only positive. Of course, there's going to be challenges along the way, but I think if you're embracing that, if you start to fight it, you're going to lose. So, and people are. So I think embrace it, learn about it. Like, it is going to change day-to-day society, but you need to be using AI now. Of course, on a basic term, getting your chat GPT going. But like, the reality is that you need to integrate it into everything you're using day to day, help it improve your life. I'm talking to it every single day. It's learning about me, and you want a second you, having that ability to have a second you advising you with all of your knowledge and data, but the world's knowledge and data to analyze that system is so valuable. So I think embrace that, take a second you on board and understand what that's going to do for changing the future. Like, that will make such a big change to people's lives for the better.
I can genuinely tell you love what you do, right?
I'm very
love
passionate.
it. Can you ever see yourself retiring?
I don't think retiring is, I don't think it's binary, right? There isn't an on off. And I think that having things like the Global Committee as a community project and a non-profit is something that I'll always endeavor to be involved with. But I think that I'm sure I'll keep these businesses going forever, no doubt. Maybe some will get sold, or I'll change onto new things. But I'm excited and passionate about building things, and I always will be.
I have a question, right? I know we're coming towards the end now, but for somebody who's around millionaires and billionaires, I'd love to get your take on a huge, I'm not sure if conspiracy is even the right word, right? But there's huge talks right now about the WEF, the World Economic Forum, right? About how they have this 2030 agenda. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I've been to WEF many times and spoken. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you're the perfect person to ask. So they released a manifesto or something on their website years ago about how people will own less and be happy, will turn to alternatives such as perhaps like bugs instead of meat. It's deleted now, but it was on the website. And apparently there's a lot of talk about how they want mass control over day-to-day people. How true is that? Like, are they trying to take away more freedoms from the people?
I don't think that's anyone's goal. I think that, of course, people are surprised at how much the world is going to change, and they are massively underestimating it. And that does mean enormous, strange changes, these things that we can't quite fathom now. So, and having people on a universal basic income, having these things that do feel controlling, but having AI around you doing these things. So yes, lots of the things in the future sound incredibly scary, but they're doing it for a greater good. Or like bringing together the world's most powerful people, as we do every year in Davos, is so important for how we see the future of this planet. And this isn't planned out with, there is no value in creating more control. We want to create more freedom, more happiness, more wealth for all. But there will be some very strange changes, and we need to be able to make sure that countries can look after their population. And that's the concern. As we evolve, they need to be able to support them. So some ideas will fail or be wrong, and we've got to support, but the changes are coming so quickly, and we're looking so far in advance that a lot of them are going to sound very strange right now. And I think that it's really important to appreciate that generally everyone's there for the greater good of humanity. We're going to make some crazy changes coming forward in the next few years, but it's all for the better.
Is that genuinely like true? The WEF do have the people's best interest at heart?
That's the purpose of them being set up, the understanding that we're looking after our planet. We have to have an agenda set out and goals for people to align to. We're going to make humans have taken over a planet we weren't here to start with. This planet was doing just fine without us. Let's not try and destroy the bloody thing. So I think it's so important that we look after the planet we're on. And as we grow, we can't go out of control. We've really got to make sure that we're monitoring each of the things that we're doing and keep this world safe rather than trying to blow the thing up.
It's powerful.
That's so interesting. So you've gone to the meetings at the WEF. Are you a member of the WEF?
I'm not, but I've attended for many years now. And when you go to Davos, that access and you're dealing with the world's most powerful people. And it's so important to, again, I'm grateful for that access, but the network and relationship you can create and the understanding about the future is so valuable. I encourage anyone to be looking at these bigger, greater goals in life and just keep aiming for the stars and fail and hit the moon. Set massive goals, make goals so big people think you're crazy.
I have to ask you one more thing, right? Because you have the biggest inside knowledge about this. And this is a huge topic right now. Digital IDs, right? There's been like the first time what I've ever seen in the UK where the left and the right actually agree with something is no one wants digital IDs. Yeah. I know it's being rolled out in a lot of Europe, and people are saying it's a World Economic Forum agenda for mass control, right? Where they'll link your biometrics, your banking, so everything's centralized. What's your take on that, and what's your view on digital IDs?
There is nuances to that, like what problems that's solving. Is that relevant? Does that make sense? Is it really solving immigration or whatever? Like, is that relevant? You've got other ways to solve immigration. You can argue that case forever and a day. Mm-hmm. But try and understand that we're trying to move forward. You can look at the global south. You look at the unbanked people in the world. You've got to look at third world countries to understand what's got to go forward in the future. You've got people, we're trying to learn how to do banking in the middle of Africa where people don't have IDs. They don't have any way of KYCing themselves into getting a loan. How do they set up a farm, buy tools, like make food for their families? This is where our planet's come from. This is what we're trying to solve. So digital technology needs to come in and resolve those issues in countries like that where people do need to embrace technology. You think phone lines didn't exist in Africa. They went to mobile first. People are doing their face IDs on their phone, but that gives them access to the rest of the planet. And these types of tools have created so much value for economies going forward that I think we have to embrace technology. It's going to add so much more value to our lives. As much as people perceive these things that control us. What are we scared of being controlled for? We have as much freedom as we can have in the Western world. People should be confident in a democratic society. The value of technology going forward cannot be underestimated. And just look at how it's changing third world countries right now. We're grateful for how it's educating populations, changing people's lives, financing the people who were unable to get banking or unable to be connected with the world. These things are happening in third world countries and being embraced. Let's embrace it in the first.
Do you feel like we need it in the first world? UK specifically, a digital ID?
I feel that it's a very specific use case that we're looking at here. And I feel that the reality is I would embrace all technology. I think that we should roll out as much tech as we can. It's only going to help in the long run. People having specific agendas around it certainly don't help. And political tools around how people use it is going to be down to the politics of government. But the technology and the reasons we should have the technology is only going to help us. So if it's used for good, it's the best thing we can do.
I've got one last question just to wrap it up. And it's been an incredible podcast.
Yeah,
really has. So a lot of our listeners are early stage business owners. Some are starting side hustles. Some want to get started in business. As you've mentioned, there's so much change going on in the world right now and over the next few years. What would be your last message or one piece of advice for people just starting off in business or wanting to start off in business? What should they be doing? Which direction should they head? There's a lot of industries that I guess are going to disappear. What's your last piece of advice?
I think it's find the customer first. So many people start with the idea. They spend time, money, exhaust themselves on the idea and the pitch. Finding that customer first is where your revenue is, where your opportunity is. And that's what's going to drive your business forward. So don't focus on the wrong thing. Focus on that first. But of course, for me, always dream so big people think you're crazy.
Amazing. Thank you. And where can people find you on social media to follow along?
Jonny Dodge, Instagram or anywhere else you want to find me.
Perfect.
Jonny, thank you so much.
A pleasure, guys.
Appreciate it if you come.